Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 30th of January. So first things first, let's have a look at the news events that are occurring today. Well, we've got the ECB meeting today, which is the biggie, I guess, this morning. Early afternoon. We've got advanced GDP for the US there at 1:30. We could get some volatility around both of these, of course. Subject to the ECB press conference, etc. In fact, I forget that the GDP is sandwiched between the initial statement and then the conference that follows the ECB, of course. Side of that, we've got pending home sales, not really a biggie at all. Much later there, the Tokyo core inflation. Right. Nothing to be done there or seen there aside of those major bits. Let's get on. Oh, yesterday the Fed left rates unchanged, of course, and that's pretty much it. So let's have a look at these markets. We'll start off looking at the. So I've got a load of messages coming up here. We'll start off looking at the euro dollar. Well, the euro dollar sits with quite a large risk around it today with the ECB meeting. So will I trade it? Absolutely not. Let's have a look at which way it might go post the news. For me, on the short side, I'd need it to break yesterday's lows there and through that 200. I'm not really interested in this very small movement that's sort of sitting here, scalpy sort of move down to its S1 is a possible sort of move there this morning if it runs that way to the upside. Again, not really appealing, but if we were looking either at the S1 and the R1, the trend had been to the upside, but it's changed recently. It's put a confirmed lower high in here, so it is on the short only signal for me. But if this did break here, well, it might gain some traction and run into its R1, etc. But as I say, it will all depend on the news later, and it could be quite volatile around that. We did see a bit of volatility around the 7 o'clock news yesterday, but not a great deal. It really just didn't have any effect, the US data, really, at the end of the day. Right, the pound, more likely to see a bit of movement on the pound today, but this is the one we could probably take it out on. But is it trying to turn around again? It did better yesterday, and well, it's looking like came short of its weekly pivot, which is a bit disappointing, because if it had found support off that, I'd have liked it more. It's still got a 75% chance of being hit, and you're leaving it missing. Something that hasn't happened yet. If it were to roll, possibly it could be a target. Yesterday it rolled over nicely for breaking the trend there in the morning. I didn't catch that personally in the end, but it rolled over. Eventually got its S1. I was looking at it. That would have been my target on there, just short of the S1, but eventually got there. It took a long time. Anyway, now I don't mind this so much with the potential. If it breaks the highs here, it'll be putting higher lows in. So, but that would be the point of on the buy side. On the sell side, it's got the lower highs in here. Again, a bit of a reversal. We could be trading it back down towards yesterday's lows up through the S1. Not a great deal of meat on the bone there. The yen, I was about to close this out yesterday and decided completely against it, and I'm quite glad I did. I just thought leave it where it is with the stop. I am going to adjust the stop this morning, but maybe to break even or just above break even. But this is a long-term trade. I'm expecting it to take time to happen. I can't. You want to dip in and do something all of the time, and the amount of times you choke out a reasonably good trade. Now this could eventually run down to the sort of levels, back down to the levels I'm looking at least down to the 150 area. But if I tighten it up too much at the top here, you could just you could see when it goes higher here, it's pushing up high, how much it pulled back on that bar there, and you can imagine how many people that were long on this and suddenly were no longer long, and vice versa. So just got to be patient here. It's barely done anything of a retrace on the bigger scheme of things. It's still got the yearly pivot underneath to draw it, so we'll leave it to be. In terms of new trades on it, it's not really setting anything up this morning at the moment. Maybe if it breaks the lows here, there's a potential, but there's no add-ins or new trades to be done yet. The Aussie dollar remains to the downside on this lower time frame, just as come out, but there you go. It's still a short on the bigger time frames if you can get into it, but it is moving in its own period really. What time was that? 5 o'clock this morning actually. It was a bit later, but it's running through the Asian session. Hard to get into trades like this, even though they're technically pretty good looking over the whole scheme of things. You've really got to maybe leave sell stops or something to get into this move. Right, US dollar CAD. So the CAD, they cut the Bank of Canada cut the rates yesterday as expected. We did see an initial weakening on that basis, but it recovered pretty quickly. I mean, it wasn't anything new. It's what was expected. It had been priced in. So once the initial noise got out of the way, it pulled back, and well, it's been pretty choppy ever since on this 4 hourlies. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this over here. This wasn't it. This was it. Forget this is a 4 hour. So ran up, pulled straight back, and next 4 hours, not hours. It's a 4 hourly chart. Now this is looking like it could sort of a bare flaggy sort of pattern, and I'm just sort of wondering if it'll just carry on rolling over. Probably not the best of trades to be in on a strong upward trend, following some consolidation. It is near its long-term highs here, so it's broken its long-term highs here. We could see some strengthening back on it, but I'm not massively convinced at the moment. But it's starting to ride its way back southbound. The New Zealand dollar, here we go. So New Zealand dollar is following very much the same way as the Aussie dollar and moving quite quickly. It's not quite as quick as the Aussie. Oh, I don't know. It has pulled off a long way, right the way down to its S1. If it had been back a couple of bars or 3 or 4 bars, it would have looked okay on the short side here. But this is, I mean, the majority of the move may be over. We see this day after day where it moved a little bit later yesterday. We did actually get the consolidation before it broke down, but then it's not really doing a great deal afterwards. And as much as it looks okay, I'm remembering now why I never used to trade these markets very much, and most of my trading would be on the euro, the dollar, and the yen. Euro pound and yen. US Swissy, dollar Swissy. Well, the strength of the dollar yesterday held up there. It's off a little bit at the moment. It's broken the descending channel. Now it's come back, it's tested the descending channel as it sits here, and it's hand railing it. Maybe a break back above the pivot, the weekly pivot there, would be a bullish signal on the buy side of things here. But for now, so long as it's down here, it's really still in the original trend effectively, or just about in the original trend. It did put a little higher low in on its structural change here as well, so it's got some structural action in there which is suggesting it could get some more upside, but maybe not from here yet. Right, old faithfuls likes the euro yen. This really not performing too much, and lots of risk obviously in the euro this morning. I'm just looking through here. But just again, it's moved with the yen through the Asian session there. Right, we'll leave that alone. Leave those cross pairs. Let's go and have a look at gold. So gold continuing to push to the upside. There's absolutely no way I'd look at shorts on this market. The way it's moving, it's all day long sitting there. The sentiment behind it's positive. We're hearing that China's been increasing its gold reserves, and I think there's actually quite a few of the BRIC countries are actually increasing their gold holdings, and this could be shown here. Anyway, it's pushing up. It's already had a solid move this morning so far. It hasn't hit the pivot, so there's the potential for it to push up as we go through the afternoon into its R2. Yeah, okay, that's gold. Already happened mainly. Oil, right, still short on this. It's coming down towards its trend here. The trend line, the sort of outline trend line. Once the prices move so far away from a trend line, well, we might have had the reaction to it yesterday on that little bounce we saw yesterday. But a break of this trend line with a 50 then becomes a bit of a magnet, or it is probably a bit of a magnet for some. I am leaving this. I still want to see it down at $70. I've spoken to Trump and he said he'll sort that out for us. So the lower highs, lower lows. As I said, I will start dragging. The stop's still currently sitting at break even there, so I will start moving that stop down. Yeah, it's why would we want to come out of this when it's in such a lovely pattern, lower highs, lower lows coming all the way through that. So that's because the owner is too busy popping his nose in everyone else's business, probably. Anyway, might want to focus on his business, his own business. So yeah, potential still sits on the upside with this. Really choppy old session through the news, etc. Sorted itself out. If anything, it might be an opportunity into the early afternoon there. So looking better. Is the techs took the hit at one stage, but are up well this morning. Really, you can't see too much of where the damage occurred yesterday. Here, it's really, I mean, yep, it did start sliding all over the place, but it's again, the tech's still looking positive. We still got this gap up here to fill. And those that sort of look at this afternoon, if you're looking at this afternoon, it might have the buy opportunity to fill that gap. Right. Although just be careful. I can't remember who else is pumping the earnings out at the moment. So that's big tech anyway. FTSE. So the FTSE still hanging in here around these highs. Scope puts in and off they're going, or the buyers are. DAX similarly, look, new highs this morning already. So it's just a continuation of the DAX. Equity markets are where it's all at the moment, guys, if you want to be on the long side of things. Right, I shall leave you there. Have a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye for now.